The morning was cold and silent. A soft fog covered the old graveyard like a white blanket. Birds were quiet, and even the wind moved slowly between the trees. It was the kind of morning when people stayed inside their warm homes. But one man walked through the silence with a heavy heart. His name was Raymond Hale, a billionaire known for his sharp mind, calm nature, and powerful business decisions. But today he was not a businessman. Today he was just a father visiting the grave of his only son. Raymond came here every month. He always arrived early before the sun fully rose, because he did not want anyone to see him cry. Even after 2 years, the pain was deep. Losing a child was something no parent ever truly healed from. He walked slowly, holding a small bouquet of white lilies, his son's favorite flowers. His expensive black coat moved lightly in the cold wind. His footsteps crunched on the frozen grass. But just as he reached the familiar place, he stopped suddenly. He heard something. A sound he did not expect to hear in a graveyard at this hour. A soft, shaky cry. Raymond's heart jumped. He looked around quickly. The graveyard was supposed to be empty. Who could be crying here so early? He followed the sound, step by step, until he reached his son's grave, and then he saw her. A small girl, no older than 7 or 8, was sitting on the ground beside the grave. She had her arms wrapped around her knees. Her clothes were simple and worn out, an oversized sweater, old shoes, and pants with patches. Her hair was messy and her small body shivered in the cold. She looked like she didn't belong in this place, or maybe she belonged here more than anyone else, because her sadness seemed older than her age. Raymond froze. He didn't know her. He had never seen her before. But the most shocking thing was this. The little girl was holding a tiny drawing. A drawing of a boy and a girl standing next to each other, smiling. And beside the drawing lay a broken toy car. Raymond recognized it instantly. It was the exact model his son loved. His breath caught. "How does she have this?" he whispered to himself. The girl did not see him at first. She wiped her tears with her sleeve and placed the drawing carefully on the grave. Then she whispered weakly, almost like she was talking to the wind. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. Please forgive me." Raymond's heart felt heavy. Her voice was full of guilt, pain far too big for a little child. He stepped forward slowly. "Hey, are you all right?" The girl jumped, scared. She looked up at him with wide, tear-filled eyes. She looked like a frightened bird ready to run away. I'm sorry," she whispered quickly. "I didn't mean to be here. I'll go. Please don't be angry." Raymond raised his hands gently. "I'm not angry. I want to understand. Why are you crying at my son's grave?" The girl shook her head fast. "I can't tell you. I shouldn't even be here." Her voice cracked as she stood up. She looked ready to run, but her little legs shook too much. Raymond softened his voice. "What's your name?" She hesitated. Her lips trembled. For a moment she looked like she might answer. But then fear returned to her eyes. "I can't tell you. If I tell you, my mother will lose her job." Raymond's eyes narrowed slightly. Her mother? Who could her mother be? Did she work somewhere he knew? He tried again gently. "Why would your mother lose her job? Did she tell you not to come here?" The girl stepped back. "Please, let me go. I didn't want to cause trouble." She held the broken toy car tightly in her little hand. Raymond noticed her fingers were red from the cold. "Where did you get that toy?" he asked softly. The girl looked down at it and her tears returned. She whispered one sentence that made Raymond feel like the air had disappeared around him. "It belonged to him. I gave it to him the day he—" She stopped suddenly, covering her mouth. Raymond's heart began to race. The day he what? The day he died. The day of the accident? How could this child know anything about that terrible day? Before he could ask more, the girl turned and started running. Her small footsteps echoed through the quiet graveyard. She ran between the tombstones, slipping once but quickly getting back up. She didn't look back. Raymond wanted to follow her, but his feet wouldn't move. He just stood there, staring at the drawing and the toy car on his son's grave. Questions hit him like stones. Who was this girl? Why did she feel guilty? Why did she come here secretly? How did she know his son? And why would her mother lose her job if he found out? The wind blew gently, moving the drawing slightly. Raymond picked it up with shaking hands. The boy in the drawing looked exactly like his son. His world felt suddenly different, heavier, but also full of a strange new hope. Because someone, somewhere, still remembered his son with love, and with a secret that could change everything. The little girl's footsteps disappeared into the fog, but her presence stayed with Raymond like a shadow. He stood beside his son's grave, holding the drawing she had left behind. His hands trembled, not from the cold but from the storm inside him. He had never seen the girl before. He didn't know her voice. He didn't know her story. But she clearly knew something about his son, something she was too afraid to say. Raymond carefully picked up the broken toy car from the grave. It was scratched and old, but he recognized it instantly. His son Liam had carried it everywhere. He had lost it the week before the accident. They had searched their entire home for days, but it was never found. How did this girl have it? Why did she place it here today? As the fog slowly lifted, one thing became clear. This was not an accident. This was not a random child. She had a reason for being there. And Raymond needed answers. Later that morning, Raymond returned to his mansion, a large, modern home with tall glass walls and clean white floors. Everything inside was quiet and perfect, except for the one room that remained untouched, his son's bedroom. He walked past it slowly, feeling the familiar ache in his chest. Downstairs, the house staff moved quietly. They always acted carefully around Raymond, especially on days like this when he visited the graveyard. His head maid, Gloria, a gentle woman in her 40s, greeted him with a respectful nod. "Good morning, sir." Raymond nodded back, his face unreadable. "Gloria, where is Maria today?" Maria was one of the new maids. She had joined a few months ago. Quiet, hard-working, always polite. Raymond barely noticed her most days, but today her absence mattered. Gloria looked confused. "Maria? She didn't come in today, sir. She called early in the morning. She said her daughter wasn't feeling well." Raymond's eyes narrowed slightly. Her daughter. His heart beat faster. "Did she say what happened to her daughter?" he asked. "No, sir," Gloria said gently. "Only that she needed to stay home." She sounded worried. Worried. Afraid. Just like the little girl in the graveyard. Raymond kept his face calm, but inside something clicked. The girl had said, "If I tell you, my mother will lose her job." Her mother. A maid. Someone who worked in a rich person's house. And Maria had a daughter. A daughter around 7 or 8 years old, just like the child he saw. Raymond felt a chill run through him. "Did Maria ever bring her daughter here?" he asked slowly. Gloria shook her head. "No, sir. Maria keeps her personal life very private. I don't think anyone here has met the child." Private. Secretive. Raymond thanked her and walked away, but his mind was racing faster than his steps. Was the girl in the graveyard Maria's daughter? Why would she be visiting his son's grave? What was she hiding? He went to his study and closed the door behind him. He placed the drawing on his desk and stared at it. The two children in the drawing looked happy, like old friends. But that made no sense. Liam had been sick for months before he died. He barely left the house except for doctor visits. How could he have met this little girl? How could they have been close enough to share toys? Unless... Raymond's breath caught. Unless Liam had met her somewhere when no one was watching. Unless there was a part of Liam's life he never knew about. The thought shook him. He prided himself on being a present father, even during his busiest business years. He thought he knew everything about his son. But this drawing suggested there was something hidden, something important. And the girl's guilty words echoed again. "I'm sorry, please forgive me." What was she apologizing for? And why did she say she didn't mean to? The sentence she cut off scared him. "I gave it to him the day he..." The day he what? Raymond felt a knot form in his chest. There was only one answer he feared. Meanwhile, in a small apartment across town, Maria Alvarez sat on the edge of her bed, her hands shaking. Her tiny apartment was cold, the heater barely working. Her daughter Luna sat quietly beside her, staring at the floor with red eyes. Maria whispered, "Luna, please tell me the truth. Did you go there again?" Luna's lip trembled. She didn't speak. "Baby," Maria said softly, taking her hand, "if you keep secrets from me, I can't protect you." Luna finally whispered, "He saw me, the man saw me." Maria closed her eyes in fear. "Oh no, oh no." Luna began to cry. "I didn't want to. I had to tell him sorry. I had to tell Liam sorry." Maria hugged her tightly. "You must never go back there. If Mr. Hale finds out, I will lose everything." Luna sobbed harder. "But I didn't mean to." Maria quickly covered her mouth. "Shh. Not another word. We can't talk about that day." Luna nodded, wiping her tears. But the truth was too heavy in the room. Too big to hide forever. Back in the mansion, Raymond stood by the window, staring at the fog that still hovered outside. He knew one thing now. He couldn't ignore this. Someone, somewhere, knew something about his son's final day. And it was time to find out what. The rest of the day felt long and heavy for Raymond. He tried to keep himself busy with meetings and phone calls, but every time he paused, the image of the little girl crying at the grave returned to his mind. Her small hands. Her trembling voice. Her shocked expression when she realized who he was. And then her last words. I gave it to him the day he... She couldn't finish the sentence, but Raymond already feared what she meant. He needed answers. The next morning, Raymond arrived at the mansion earlier than usual. The staff had just started their morning routine, cleaning floors, preparing breakfast, arranging the living room. He scanned the room silently, looking for one person. Maria. She hadn't come in yesterday. He wondered if she would show up today. Minutes later, he saw her walking through the main door. Her shoulders were tense and her eyes showed she hadn't slept. She looked scared, too scared for someone who simply missed a day of work. Raymond watched her quietly for a moment. She moved nervously, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Her hands shook as she arranged the cleaning supplies. Maria, Raymond said finally. She froze. Slowly she turned toward him. Yes, sir? She asked softly, her voice trembling. Come with me, he said. Her heart dropped. She followed him to the study room, her steps small and fearful. When the door closed behind them, Maria felt the air tighten. She held her hands tightly, trying to stay calm. Raymond sat down and placed something on the table. It was the drawing and the broken toy car. Maria's eyes widened. Her face turned pale. Do you know what these are? Raymond asked. Maria swallowed hard but didn't speak. Raymond leaned forward. I saw a little girl at the cemetery yesterday. She left these items at my son's grave. She said something I can't forget. Maria's breathing quickened. She said you would lose your job if I knew she was there. Maria's eyes filled with tears. Sir, I can explain. I want you to, Raymond said gently but firmly. Maria breaks down. Maria sank into the chair opposite him. For a long moment she didn't speak. Tears slowly fell down her cheeks. I didn't want you to find out this way, she whispered. I was protecting her. Protecting who? Raymond asked softly, though he already knew. My daughter, Maria said. Her name is Luna. Raymond nodded slowly. Maria, why was Luna at my son's grave? Maria covered her face with her hands and cried silently. I'm so sorry, sir. I should have told you earlier, but I was afraid. Afraid of losing my job. Afraid you would blame us. Afraid of everything. Raymond waited patiently. He didn't rush her. He needed the truth, not a forced story. Finally, Maria wiped her tears and spoke. The secret friendship. Luna met your son, months before the accident, she said shakily. My daughter used to wait for me outside the servant quarters while I worked. One day your son came there. He was lonely, he wanted someone to talk to. Raymond felt his heart tighten. Maria continued, Luna and Liam became friends. Real friends. They played every day. He would sneak out of the house just to see her. Raymond lowered his head. I didn't know. I know, sir, Maria whispered. He didn't want anyone to know. He said people would laugh at him for playing with a maid's daughter. So they kept it a secret. Raymond felt a mixture of sadness and guilt. His son had been struggling with loneliness, and he hadn't realized how deep it went. But there is more, Maria said, her voice shaking again. Something Luna has been hiding, something she blames herself for. Raymond held his breath. What is it? Maria hesitated, then whispered, Your son lost his toy car the week before he died, right? Yes, Raymond said. He didn't lose it, Maria said. He gave it to Luna as a gift. He said she made him happy and he wanted her to keep something special. Raymond felt tears burning in his eyes. But on the day of the accident, Maria's voice broke. Luna returned the toy. She told him she wanted him to show it to you. She said he should tell you the truth about their friendship. Raymond's heart stopped. She said he ran off holding it, Maria said. He wanted to tell you everything. He was excited. Raymond covered his mouth with his hand. His chest tightened painfully. Maria whispered the final truth. Luna believes that because she gave him the toy that day, because he ran to show it to you, she thinks she caused the accident. Raymond feels the weight of the truth. Raymond leaned back in his chair, stunned. Every piece of the puzzle suddenly made sense. Why Luna cried. Why she apologized. Why she said, I didn't mean to. Luna wasn't responsible for his son's accident. But she was carrying the guilt like a heavy stone on her small shoulders. Raymond felt a deep ache. This was too much burden for a child. Maria, he said softly, I need to speak to Luna. Maria wiped her tears. I was afraid you'd say that. Raymond stood up. Please bring her here tomorrow. I need to hear her story myself. Maria nodded, but fear still filled her eyes. Sir, please be gentle with her, Maria whispered. She is only a child, and she has lived with this pain for a long time. Raymond looked out the window, his heart heavy and broken. I will, he said quietly. I promise. The next morning arrived slowly for Raymond. He barely slept the night before. His mind kept replaying everything Maria told him. The secret friendship, the toy car, the guilt the little girl carried alone. He stood by the large window of his study, staring at the empty garden outside. The wind moved the trees gently, but he felt no calm. Today he would speak to Luna. And he had no idea what he would hear from her small, trembling voice. At exactly 10 o'clock Maria arrived. She stood at the door of the study, holding Luna's hand. The little girl looked even smaller than before. Her hair was tied in a messy ponytail. Her eyes were red as if she had cried all night. She held the strap of her tiny backpack tightly, like it was her shield against the world. Maria bent slightly. Go on, sweetheart, it's okay. Luna looked up at her mother, then slowly stepped forward. Raymond didn't want to scare her. He lowered himself to her eye level and spoke gently. Hi, Luna. She nodded silently but didn't speak. Her eyes stayed on the floor. Do you know why I wanted to see you? Raymond asked softly. Luna nodded again. Can you tell me? He asked. Her lips trembled. Because I went to the grave. Raymond nodded. Yes, I saw you there. Luna swallowed hard. Her fingers twisted together nervously. Luna, Raymond said, I'm not angry. I only want to understand. I want to know why you go there. Tears filled her eyes immediately, but she tried to hold them back. I go because I miss him, she whispered. Raymond felt something in his chest tighten. You miss my son? She nodded, and a tear escaped down her cheek. Maria stood behind her, crying quietly. Luna begins to open up. Raymond gently placed the drawing she left at the grave on the table. This is yours, right? Luna nodded again. Can you tell me, Raymond asked softly, how you knew my son? Luna took a shaky breath. Her voice was thin, tired, and full of pain. He came to the backyard, near the servant rooms, when Mama was cleaning, she said. He looked sad, so I gave him my crayons. And then we played. Raymond listened, heart aching. He said he didn't have friends at school, Luna continued. He said kids didn't understand him. But he understood me. Her voice cracked. He was my best friend. Raymond closed his eyes for a moment, swallowing the emotion rising inside him. He talked about you sometimes, Luna said. He said you were very busy but very smart. He said he wanted to show you something special someday. Raymond looked up slowly. The toy car? Luna nodded, her chin trembling. He gave it to me first, because he said I made him happy. But on the last day, her voice broke. I gave it back because I wanted him to show it to you. I told him to tell you about me so you wouldn't be sad he had a friend like me. Raymond's heart shattered. His son had tried to come to him that day, with joy, not sadness. And he never knew the secret she carried. Raymond spoke softly. Luna, yesterday you said something at the grave. You said, I didn't mean to. You didn't finish your sentence. Can you tell me now? Luna froze. Fear washed over her face. She stepped back. Maria immediately knelt beside her. Luna, sweetie, it's okay. Tell him. Luna shook her head. No, he'll hate me. Everyone will hate me. Raymond knelt down too, making sure his voice was gentle. No one will hate you. I promise. Luna looked at him, tears rolling down her cheeks. She wiped them quickly with the back of her small hand. I told him to run home, she whispered. I told him to show you the car right away. Because he was so happy. He wanted to tell you everything. Raymond's breath caught. Luna cried harder. He ran so fast, and I couldn't catch him, and then I heard the cars, and the sound, and... She sobbed into her hands. It was my fault. He died because of me. The room fell silent. Maria hugged her tightly. No, baby. It wasn't your fault. You were just a child. But Luna kept shaking. If I didn't tell him to go, he would still be here. Raymond felt tears slip down his own face. He couldn't hold them back anymore. He slowly reached out and placed his hand on Luna's small shoulder. Luna, he said gently, voice thick with emotion, my son's accident had nothing to do with you. Nothing. She looked up, confused and broken. But I told him. What you told him, Raymond said softly, came from love. You cared about him. You made him happy. You gave him friendship when he needed it most. Luna's lips trembled. Raymond continued, you didn't cause the accident. A child's kindness cannot cause tragedy. You didn't hurt him, Luna. You were the one thing that made his last days full of joy. Luna's crying slowed as she listened, but her eyes held deep pain. Raymond gently pulled her into a soft hug. She didn't resist. She leaned into him, still shaking. He held her like he wished he had held his son more often. Maria covered her mouth, crying silently at the sight. A new truth begins to form. Raymond pulled back slightly so he could look into Luna's eyes. There is one more thing, he said softly. Liam would never want you to be sad. He would never want you to blame yourself. Luna looked down again. What should I do? You should remember him, Raymond said, for the happiness you shared, not the guilt you carry. Maria cried harder. Luna wiped her cheeks with her sleeve. Raymond stood slowly and took a deep breath. Maria, he said, from today onward I want Luna to be honest. No more hiding. Maria nodded, though fear still flickered in her eyes. And Luna, Raymond said gently, I want to see you again tomorrow. We will talk more. We will understand everything, together. For the first time Luna gave a tiny nod without fear. The healing had begun. But the truth, the whole truth, was still waiting to be revealed. The next morning Mr. Raymond woke up with a heavy heart. He had barely slept. The little girl's voice still echoed in his mind. I talk to him because he listens, like you don't. Those words were not just a child's complaint. They were a mirror. A mirror showing him the truth. He had forgotten how to listen, how to care, how to see the people who stood silently beside him. Determined to understand everything, he called his driver and left for the Maid's neighborhood. A visit to the Maid's home. Maria lived in a tiny house on the edge of the city. The paint was peeling, the roof needed repair, but the place felt warm and alive, very unlike the billionaire's cold mansion. When Maria opened the door and saw her boss standing there, she froze. Sir? Is everything okay? She asked nervously. Mr. Raymond shook his head gently. I just want to talk, he said with a calm voice. He sat inside, noticing a small table with children's drawings. Many of them showed a little girl holding hands with a boy. The same boy, his son. You never told me Lily knew my son, he said softly. Maria lowered her eyes. Sir, I didn't want to cross any lines. And I didn't want trouble for Lily. There wouldn't be trouble, he said. Just tell me the truth. The truth Maria had hidden. Maria took a deep breath before speaking. Your son was special, sir. He always came outside the mansion and sat with Lily. She used to feel lonely, because I work long hours. She paused, wiping her tears. But your son, he made her feel seen. He brought her cookies, told her stories, helped her with homework. Sometimes he even told her that she deserved good things in life. Mr. Raymond felt his chest tighten. His son had been offering the kindness that he, the father, had forgotten to give. He didn't tell me any of this, Mr. Raymond whispered. Maria nodded. Lily was like a little sister to him. When your son died, she cried for days. But she kept one thing. Something precious. She walked to a small wooden box and brought out a folded letter. Your son gave this to her the day before the accident. Mr. Raymond's hands trembled as he opened it. The letter that broke him. The handwriting was small and neat. His son had always written with careful strokes. If anything ever happens to me, please don't be sad, Lily. Just promise me you will stay brave. And promise me you will remind my dad to smile sometimes. He forgets. But I know he has a good heart. Mr. Raymond felt tears falling before he could stop them. His son, even in his last days, had been trying to fix his father's heart. Maria stood quietly, letting him process the truth. Lily wanted to give this to you many times, she said softly, but she was scared you would be angry. Mr. Raymond closed the letter slowly. I wasn't angry, he said in a broken voice. I was lost. For the first time in years, Maria saw something human in her powerful employer, pain, regret, and love. A new resolve forms. He stood up and turned to Maria. I want to do something, he said. For Lily. For my son. For all the things I failed to see. Maria looked confused. Sir? He took a deep breath. I want to change things. But I need your blessing first. Blessing for what? She asked. For giving Lily a future my son would have wanted for her. Maria covered her mouth in shock. She knew this was not a simple offer. This was something bigger, something life-changing. But before she could answer, a soft knock came from outside. It was Lily. She held a small flower in her hand. the same type she always placed on the grave. When she saw Mr. Raymond standing inside her house, her eyes widened. For a moment she looked frightened, but then she smiled gently, the same way she used to smile at his son. And in that moment, Mr. Raymond knew. This child was about to change his life forever. Lily stepped inside the small house holding the tiny white flower. She looked shy, almost scared, as her eyes moved between her mother and Mr. Raymond. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked softly. Her voice was so gentle that it broke the silence in the room. Mr. Raymond shook his head quickly. "No, Lily. You did nothing wrong," he said, kneeling down to her height. "I came because I wanted to talk to you." Lily blinked in surprise. She had only ever seen the billionaire from a distance, walking fast, speaking with power, always serious. To see him in her small house felt strange. About my son," he continued slowly. Lily's little fingers tightened around the flower. "I miss him," she whispered. Her simple words hit him harder than anything else. His throat tightened. All the walls he had built, coldness, distance, silence, fell apart in front of this one small child. "I know," he said. "I miss him too." A child's honesty. Lily stepped forward just a little and held out the flower to him. "This is for him," she said. "I bring one every time so he knows I didn't forget him." Mr. Raymond carefully took the flower. His hands were shaking. "You never forgot him," he whispered. "But I think I forgot many things." Lily looked confused, her young mind trying to understand adult pain. "You didn't forget," she said softly. "You just got sad. Sometimes sad people stop looking around." Her innocence was like light in a dark room. "He makes a promise." Mr. Raymond took a deep breath. "Lily, may I ask you something?" She nodded slowly. "What did you say to my son at the grave?" Lily hesitated. Her eyes moved to her mother, who gave her a small nod. "I told him I was trying to be brave, like he wanted," she said. "And I told him I wish someone would take care of Mama like he took care of me." Maria covered her face with her hand, trying not to cry. "And I told him," Lily whispered, her voice shaky, "I wish you were not so sad anymore. He hated when you were sad." The billionaire felt his heart crack open. His son had shared his deepest hope with a little girl, hope that his father would heal. He placed a hand gently on Lily's shoulder. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for being honest. And thank you for loving my son." Her eyes filled with tears. "He was my best friend." "I promise you," Mr. Raymond said softly, "I will honor what he wanted. I will not forget you. I will not forget what he did for you, and what you meant to him." Lily looked up at him, confused. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "that you and your mother won't struggle alone anymore." Maria gasped. "Sir, please, we don't want charity." "It's not charity," he interrupted gently. "It's respect. Respect for your son's kindness, and respect for your daughter's heart. A new beginning begins to form." Mr. Raymond stood up and looked around the small house, the worn-out furniture, the broken shelves, the dim lights. "No child should live like this, not after giving so much light to others." "Maria," he said, "I want to help. A new home. A better school for Lily. Medical care. Safety. And a chance for you to build a better life." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "But why? Why would you do all this?" "Because," he said quietly, "my son believed in your daughter. And now, I believe in her too." Lily stared at him with big eyes. "You mean, we will be okay?" He smiled, a real gentle smile he had forgotten how to make. "Yes, Lily. From now on, I promise, you will be more than okay." The little girl suddenly stepped forward and hugged him. Not carefully, not shyly, but tightly, like she was hugging someone she trusted. It was the first warm hug Mr. Raymond had received since his son died, and it felt like a door inside his heart opened again. The next morning, Mr. Raymond stood at his son's grave again. But this time he was not alone. Little Lily stood beside him, holding another white flower. Maria stood a few steps behind, her hands shaking, unsure if she belonged there. A soft wind moved through the cemetery. The sky was calm. And for the first time in years, the billionaire felt a quiet warmth instead of the usual cold pain. Lily placed her flower gently on the grave. "Good morning," she whispered. "I brought another one. I promised." Mr. Raymond watched her with soft eyes. She kept her promises. She kept her heart pure. She kept his son's memory alive, even when he couldn't. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "I came to tell you something," he said, looking at the gravestone as if his son could hear him. Maria looked confused. Lily simply waited. I know what I must do now, he whispered. You tried to teach me kindness when you were here, but I was too busy to see it. Now Lily has shown me what I missed. He took a deep breath, then turned toward Maria and Lily. A new future announced. Maria, he said, I want you to stop working as a maid. Maria froze. Sir, if you want to fire me? He shook his head firmly. No. I want to promote you. I want you to manage one of my new community centers. A place for children, for poor families. A place built in honor of my son. Maria's eyes widened in disbelief. I don't have any skills for that, she whispered. You have honesty. You have strength. You have kindness, he said. Those are the skills that matter. Lily looked between them, her small hands trembling with hope. What about me? She asked quietly. He smiled at her. You, Lily, will go to the best school in the city. Everything paid. And when you're older, if you want to study more, college, anything, you will have full support. Lily gasped. Really? Really? He said softly. Because my son believed in you, and now I do too. The little girl threw her arms around his waist. This time he hugged her back with full heart. No hesitation, no walls. The truth finally revealed. As they stood together, Maria finally found the courage to ask the question she had been afraid to ask. Sir, why did Lily matter so much to your son? Mr. Raymond closed his eyes. He never told me much, he said quietly. But he always carried drawings she made for him. He kept them in his backpack. After he passed, I found a small folded note. He pulled a tiny paper from his coat pocket. Maria covered her mouth. That's Lily's handwriting. He opened the note slowly. Inside were childish drawings of a smiling boy and girl holding hands, and 5 words written in shaky letters. Thank you for saving me. Maria's knees almost gave out. Tears streamed down her face. Saving you? Mr. Raymond asked softly. Maria whispered the truth for the first time. When I worked late, Lily would stay alone, scared, hungry. One evening she got lost outside. Your son found her crying, and brought her home. He stayed until I returned. He protected her. Mr. Raymond felt tears in his eyes for the first time in years. So he saved her, he whispered. And she never forgot him, Maria said. He looked at Lily, this little girl his son had cared for. The last person he had helped. The last heart he had touched. And suddenly everything made sense. A goodbye, and a beginning. Mr. Raymond placed his hand on the gravestone. Thank you, son, he whispered. For guiding me, even after you were gone. Lily placed her tiny hand over his. We will make you proud, she said softly. He smiled down at her. Yes, he said. Together. The sun rose a little higher, warming the graveyard. And in that quiet light, 3 lives changed forever. A billionaire who found his heart again. A mother who finally saw hope. And a little girl who carried